I'm gonna cover some points here. I want to make a couple of things very, very clear, especially to the sheep people of the fucking world, okay? I want to make something extremely clear, okay? Because I've made a couple of videos, but everything is, and just like everything in general in the fucking world is just taken from a human concept. Let me start with this part. When you hear the word, when people say, oh, because of COVID, there's been a shift in consciousness, but in your mind, you correlate that to because the government is putting people indoors, the whole shadiness behind everything that happened as far as to, how this really affected people, but it's not really because of that. You think that because you're starting to see the corruption in the government is the reason there's a shift in the world. And the whole thing is that I've always said in previous videos, you would have to see the corruption in yourself first for you to pinpoint the corruption outside of you. You realize the corruption because of the corruption in you first. I've made many examples as to how this is, how viruses process in your body, how you want the systems within you to work in your favor for you to feel better and safe and be able to keep participating in this humanity as a fucking perfectly human individual. Because here's the thing though, there's a lot of different ways to look at things. I was even watching an Andrew Tate interview. And he was saying, well, I'm going to get sentimental. And there's, and then they were like, oh, he's showing a soft side. And he was talking about how when he's talking to a girl and she's 23 and she's dating this guy, right, that he feels bad because he finds it so easy for him to be able to take the girl away from him. But he's thinking about the dude and how bad he's going to feel. Okay. What's that soft side meaning? Okay, what's that soft side meaning? Besides the concept of morality, besides the fact that you're like, oh, what is the consciousness? You feel your conscience hurting you because you're doing bad to somebody else. These are reflections, mirrors of this individual. Either way you put it, you do something to somebody else, you still hurt yourself to some extent. I mean, it's about realizing how deep these fucking layers go. See, Andrew Tate feeling bad, that would be what the energy is backed up by. But if he was to do it in a neutral state, not thinking about the individual outside of you, okay, there could be one or two ways you could look at it. Invertedly evil, or just being good, or just being neutral, right? Why would you be neutral and not evil or good? Because you're not one of those things. You're none of those things. You are not the human you think you are, but you are also not the individual you think you are looking outside of you. The whole thing is that the people you look at outside of you are the things that hold in the memory of your body that you're doing since you started this fucking game. So you're attracting things into your reality. But the things that happen and the things you feel bad about is because you're realizing that these things are versions and extensions of yourself. But it's the same way. Where if somebody dies, it's going to hurt. It's going to feel bad. But why? Because it feels like such a real fucking experience. Right? See, this is where you got to leave the whole morality thing aside. And I'm not telling you I'm disconnected from this shit in this way where if my son or my family was not around me, it wouldn't hurt. Oh, fuck yeah, it would hurt. It would hurt. But the whole thing is sometimes you got to look at it from different perspectives. Like I mentioned in the video, and this is where somebody fucking got all bent out of shape, When you look at a guy like El Chapo or Pablo, and when I said that if you're going to be bad, okay, you're in this state where you can either be building and in the loving frequency, okay, where you're experiencing love. How much love do you give out to the world? Or death to some extent. But if you're death dealing, okay, are you dealing with consequences of if they potentially killed your shit off? Or are you doing that yourself, okay, in the way where you keep your family safe and sound? If you decide to participate in a life of crime, okay, which nobody should be doing, and that's my disclaimer. But if you decide to participate in the life of crime, just like I made the examples, there are no friends. You may have to shoot your own friend for the business, okay? It's just like people in business outside do this in a way where it's not directly the same exact way as you physically shooting somebody off. You may buy them out, you may run them out of business, or you may just damage their credibility by let's say just talking smack about them. But in actuality, there's always going to be a cause and effect in the human realm. What you put out, you will always get back. In some way, shape, or form, the same way they say, if you gossip about somebody, expect somebody to be gossiping about you the same way. Okay? So here's the example I'm going to put in with the death dealing part. And if you're in the realm of dealing in death, which is neutral, you'll still attract money in that aspect. That's how these people became billionaires. But in actuality, when you become that influential, okay, Andrew Tate said one thing: if you're really a criminal or somebody who's that bad and whatnot, the last thing you're gonna have is a social media. Okay, you want to be as private as possible, as closed doors as possible. Why? Because then your weak points aren't exposed. Okay, but if you have family and they and here's the thing though, upon you betraying friends, there's gonna be certain people in your organization that you let in because they were originally friends, and these people may actually come back and turn their back on you. But and when they turn their back on you, those are the most dangerous enemies, because they know all about you. Like when Pablo Escobar, okay, he betrayed certain friends, okay, but the friends he betrayed was supposedly because they were hiding certain business deals from him. Apparently they were doing deals with the Cali cartel while Pablo was incarcerated in the jail that he designed. So upon him killing two of his best associates, okay, there were people who weren't fucking with Pablo betraying friends in that way, and they became enemies of Pablo, and that's how they formed now an alliance with the Cali cartel, because Pablo was part of the Medellin cartel. So they formed an alliance with the Cali cartel, and the people they formed that alliance with, right, they formed an alliance, they were called Los Pepes. But the thing is that the friends are the worst enemies because they know about their families, they know all their hideouts, so they know all their houses, they know everything. So they became the worst enemies ever. Okay? You ever hear somebody say, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer? For that reason. So here's what happens now. You either disconnect from your family, meaning they would have, that's a death process. You physically killed them off in a way where you disconnected from them, okay? And that would be a level of death that keeps your friend safe and sound. But because you, as the criminal, can't disassociate from your family because it's not morally right, or they're your life and your world, you're actually a danger to them because you expose them to the enemy upon them looking for you. Or because you're the enemy, they may kill them off because they want to get to you a lot easier, and that's your soft side. This is where the whole, again, you see what I'm talking about? They hate your soft spots. Those are the easiest penetratable spots. So if you're going to enter in that type of life, you need to make sure your armor is correct all the way around. This is why I said when you're bad, you're really bad. There is no I'm all good, or I'm good, but I'm not all good. I'm just, I'm slightly bad, or I'm all bad, but I'm slightly good. Because in those polar opposites, you're always going to find those soft spots. Or you could just play the neutral role. The neutral role is a godly role. It's the most godly role ever. And I'm only bringing this examples of criminal and life of crime and whatnot to basically really put things into context for people to understand this. We hear things like the shift in consciousness is from COVID. No, the actual virus is the shift in consciousness. It's inevitable. You could be locked indoors. You could be disassociated from people, places, and things outside of you because you're afraid of catching a virus. But it's inevitable. The masks ain't going to stop anything. All this is going to happen. But the whole thing is that before, it's inevitable, like I said. The virus is going to be attracted to, it's in everybody. And it's going to commune with everybody. But the whole thing is the mind virus has to be implanted first. It has to be implanted first because your belief in how this process happens determines more or less your outcome through influence. Like I said before, you could be around rich people. And let's say if you're poor, they'll tell you go to an expensive place, even have a cup of coffee. You don't have to spend a lot of money there. But the fact that you're in that environment rubs off on you. Right? It's just like if you hang out with bum-ass fucking people, they say if you hang out with shit, you smell like shit. So if you are somebody who's poor and you hang out around these environments, that energy rubs off on you. You may even network with somebody. They may put something in your ear, planting a seed. That's the right environment to be in if that's the experience you want to live. Okay? That's why in the impoverished states, you can also have the ability to be very, very rich. Because you create that ambition to get out of that situation. You may hate your situation so much that you kill off that poverty state, right? But now you go into a life of crime, right? And that life of crime is backed up because of the hatred toward the situation that you and your family were in at one point. It can go one or two ways. You could do it the righteous way, or you could do it the unrighteous state, which would be like, let's say, a life of crime and whatnot. But then in the life of crime, this is a very, very alone game. It's more alone than anything else you could possibly think of. So in this game where you try to be in the righteous path, okay, there's a lot of responsibilities toward that righteous path as well. You have to stand by what you believe in. These people are mirrors and extensions of you. The same exact way that you can only lie to yourself, where if you say to yourself, I am this, but you truly don't believe that, your cells in your body are the people outside of you. It's the trillions of billions of cells, it's the trillions of billions of people outside of you. And as much as your cells believe you're full of shit, where if you say, I'm going to start this tomorrow and I'm going to stick to it, and you don't do it, you yourself know you're full of shit. And your cells in your body know you're full of shit. That's why it takes 21 days to change a habit. Because you would have to really convince and imprint in your cells that you are actually now serious and mean business. And the people outside of you catch on to this as well. I had this realization as well. Okay, this is the reason why I'm talking about it. So there's certain people who may listen to you speak and be like, doesn't seem like he's genuine or honest. But they don't know nothing about you. Where are they getting that from? Right? Because these people are versions and extensions of you. The more your cells in your body start to believe you being a true righteous person, meaning that you are truly in the path of, let's say, you trying to help others, this is truly helping yourself though. You will start to attract different people that are going to start to build and commune with you, because you're now in the space of love and building. If you're in the space of death, then you have to know how to disconnect. You will have no social media. You will have no outside connection to, let's say, the outside world as far as influence goes, because you're in the death realm. It's more of a self-servient type of energy. And this is all in my opinion. And I'm going to make this disclaimer since I mentioned the word COVID, that a lot of people are afraid to mention. I'm not a medical doctor. Do your own research. None of this stuff I'm speaking of is backed up by medical science or medical claims. None of this stuff is backed up by scientific fact or scientific evidence. I'm not a doctor. You do your own research. I'm creating content. I'm being an entertainer for you right now in this particular video. Okay? So this right here based all on my opinions, and you could take it as you fucking please. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not the biggest shark, but I am the hunter. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to start fucking going after big sharks. And I'm going to tell you why. Because a lot of the times these people, when they speak, they're speaking from such a space that really, and you know what? People say, oh, but you know, you speak on neutrality. That's the best state to be in, you know? And if you're in a neutral state and you know people outside of you, you're nothing but mirrors and reflections of yourself, this is not the perfect opportunity for you to just sit back and say, I'm not going to engage because it's a waste of my energy and I'm above these things. So in other words, that means you're eliminating the warriors of the planet. They're all gone. Right? See, I'm not about the life of going and attacking people or infringing on people's spaces. You can call me a vampire. I need to be invited in. If I'm invited in, then I will be there. It's like you conjured me. But I'm not the biggest shark. But is a human, when he's out in the ocean and he's using his higher faculties, he can actually overcome the power of this shark. If you are in a boat and you're using the right equipment to hunt shark, oh, you will catch a shark. But if you go into the water with those sharks, then they will tear your fucking goofy ass up. Right? So there's a way to do things. There's a way to do everything. And yes, I'm letting you know exactly little things that you can use for your fucking benefit. But this is not about, see, if you're in a warish mentality, then of course the warish mentality will show you where the wars are at. They're going to show it to you. If you're truly about love and light, then be love and light. Be love and light. But with that responsibility, truly embody being love and light by actually embracing the darkness. And then you can actually show you being the light, not you grabbing light from outside and wielding that type of power. Because you will blind people. So, love and light does not give you superiority over darkness. And darkness and fucking shit like that doesn't give superiority over love and light. I made the example. The stronger the hero, the stronger the villain. The stronger the villain, the stronger the hero. So if you look at love and light, the opposite would be fear and darkness. Fear can be used as a tool as well. See, fear keeps you sharp. If it's a healthy fear, if you're going into a fight, it keeps you sharp. Like I made the examples where if I'm driving and I'm drunk, I'm in a fearful state. But it's keeping me awake and active to follow all the rules, where if I'm not drunk, I'm just fucking texting, I may be glancing to the side. I'm more of in an asleep state. Only because I'm very confident that I'm capable to drive, but I'm more prone to having an accident because I'm not even paying attention to the road at times. So you see how you can look at both sides of the same coin? And I can come up with many more examples. I'm just making sure that you understand. There is no bad and there is no good. There are experiences you pick. But upon those experiences, okay, you need to be conducive to those experiences. So if you're deciding to be bad, then you need to be conducive to being bad, because those soft sides could be penetrated by love or by somebody who is very close to you that you betrayed. And these people that you betray are worse than a fucking female that you fucking like what their saying goes, hell hath no wrath of than the wrath of a woman in some, like I forgot what the fuck, what is it, hell has no fury than the fury of a woman scorned, or some shit like that. I forgot what the saying is, but the saying is very closely related to these friends. See, this is the thing, I've used examples where I've always had in my mind where if somebody, let's say, got with my girl, you know what I'm saying, or was trying to flirt with my girl, rather, because the only way that the guy can get with my girl is if my girl allowed the guy to get with her. That's the whole thing. See, this is the whole thing. Like, the guy can propose, the girl is gonna fucking either engage or stand her ground and be like, no, I'm with somebody. But if she engages, see, here's the thing, the man's fault, yeah, it's still there, but it's more the woman's fault. But if it's a friend, it's a worse offense. Camera's gonna cut off. We'll talk soon.